Alright, so this is just a fun little idea I had of pretty much, just a fun little idea I had of what I would do if Gamera was a comic book series under IDW or, once again, under Dark Horse. Just something I'd like to talk, just an idea I had of, what I would like to do with a Gamera comic, or, just a Gamera story in general, and what I'd like to do with the character of Gamera. If someone asked me to do a comic book series of Gamera. So, let's get into this. Now, this would be kind of like Godzilla Rulers the Earth, but I would make a lot of change, and let's say, for sake of argument, this is a perfect world where, they pretty much give me, hey, because the guys who own Gamera right now, it ain't Dai, it's, I forget the other company's name, but they're very fast and loose with the Gamera title. So, let's just say, they are, it's not like with Toho that doesn't allow people to use certain human characters from their comic, in the American comics, and, allows them to screw around with the origin. Let's say, like, that you can use characters you've seen in Gamera movies, as well as you can change the origins a bit of the monsters. Whereas in the IDW Toho comics, you can't do that. It's the same thing why they can't do crossovers. Toho is very protective of the Godzilla title. That's their baby. That's the thing that made them big. So they're very defensive of that title. But on the other hand, the company currently owning Gamera isn't really defensive at all. They're very, open to a lot of ideas, apparently. So let's talk about, what I would do if Gamera came over the way to IDW, because IDW is awesome like that, and they said, hey, look, you can use these characters, you can change the monster's origin, just give us something good. So here's what I would like to do. I would definitely make a new Gamera series very much like a mixture of the Heisei Gamera series, and I would also make it a bit like Godzilla Rulers of the Earth. The story would be that I would set up Gamera's origin being similar to the whole Atlantean thing. I would set up in the Heisei Gamera that, yeah, he was created by Atlantis along with the Gauss, but here would be the difference. What I would like to do is not only say that the Atlanteans created Gamera and Gauss, they also created two other creatures. They created Barugun and Jiger, the two other mystical creatures of the Gamera series from the Showa era. What I would like to do is say that, the first creature they created was Gauss. Obviously, the first creature they created was Gauss, and he was meant to be their great protector. The creatures that were meant to be like the Atlanteans, or creatures that, the race of beings that were based off the Atlanteans, created Gauss to be their original protector. And they wanted to protect them from an alien race that was trying to overrun their way of life, conquer Earth. And Gauss is their original defender. However, Gauss went a little haywire after the enemy was defeated and beaten back, and in turn, Gamera was created, but Gamera couldn't keep fighting all by himself, so they ended up creating two other monsters from different DNA strands, creating Barugun and Jiger. The four monsters, Gamera, Gauss, Jiger, and Barugun, become, later in legend, the four guardian monsters throughout North, South, East, and West of Japanese mythology. If you guys know that, it's like it's kind of like the lion, the tiger, not the lion, the tiger, the turtle, the dragon, and the phoenix. So all of those creatures of that myth are based on the four monsters, and together, the four of them did manage to beat the aliens, but then Gauss went nuts, and Jiger and Barugun went nuts. They eventually became too uncontrollable. Even Gamera, to an extent, he ended up protecting more of the Earth, whereas the other monsters went completely rogue. Gamera was the only one who was kind of uncorrupt, where he was meant to guard the Earth. And in the end, the monsters were sealed away, and Gauss, Jiger, and Barugun were sealed away as well, and Gamera went back to sleep. And throughout this story, I would have it that fast forward to the future, the aliens are back, and the aliens would be Virus. Now, if you guys have seen Gamera vs. Virus, I pity you if you have, because that movie is pretty terrible. I've sat through it and wanted to blow my brains out. What I would like to do with Virus, because they just call themselves the Virus, I would like to do the whole thing that they look like humans and say that they're trying to do like a secret invasion thing on Earth. What I'd like to do with Virus is like they their home world was conquered, and that's why they've been they've been roaming around the world, conquering and colonizing other planets after their world was conquered by another alien race. So they've been kind of going around fighting other alien races to try to colonize them, and they've made some enemies along the way, and brought some of those enemies to Earth. And now they're trying to do a new tactic of trying to they're trying to take over the world in like a secret invasion type thing, but also the Virus are they're very high. I would make them hive minds, since they all call themselves the Virus and they all have the same name. I just decided, you know what, let's just make them a hive mind with the main Virus, the one that becomes the giant squid, like the Virus Prime. Kind of make them like the Krang or the Borg. In that kind of way. That's what I would like to do, is make them kind of like the Krang from the new Ninja Turtle show, or like the Borg in, Star Trek. So that's what I'd like to do, and what I'd like to have is that this imbalance that the Virus are creating has reawakened Gamera, Gauss, Jiger, and Barugun, and they've pretty much been fucking up shit. They've been, this causes the four monsters to arise, and the four of them are warring against one another. And pretty much the Virus have also brought, their enemies that they've caused throughout the, their planetary conquest. They've pretty much brought their own enemies. Among those enemies being Zigra. Most of you guys remember him as the giant goblin shark from the from the second to the last Showa Gamera series, Gamera vs. Zigra. He's the leader of an alien race, and his race would come down and be like, "Hey, look, you guys in our war with the Virus, they were like, well, they ravaged our world in our war when they tried to conquer our planet. So guess what, assholes? We're gonna, take our revenge out on the Virus, and while at the same time try to conquer this world." We also have another monster in play of the original race that conquered the Virus's homeworld, Legion. Yes, Legion would be the one that was the original conqueror of the Virus's world, and now they're setting their sights on Earth. So we've got a huge intergalactic battle while all these other monsters are at war with one another. Two parallel stories. Can't believe I couldn't say that word. Are, they're pretty much intertwining and have this huge connection going on, with Gamera kind of mankind's only monster that can fight off all these other monsters, while at the same time they're, they're pretty much at war with one another. While at the same time we have the Virus, who are like, well, Gamera's a major problem, we need to find a way to stop him. And they take one of the Gauss, genetically alter one of the Gauss, and turn it into the anti-Gamera Iris. And as much as you guys would know, in the original, in the third Heisei Gamera movie, Revenge of Iris, they didn't really give an exact origin. The closest they say was that Iris was a mutated Gauss. So I would take that idea and make it a reality of, Iris was a genetically or a mutation of a Gauss. And I would have that the Virus take one of the Gauss, or the main Gauss, the first Gauss, and genetically alter it and turn it into Virus. Iris. So that would be one of the things I would like to do with the idea, and eventually kind of again, like I said, kind of bring the Heisei and Showa creatures all together, kind of like what they're doing in Godzilla Rulers of the Earth. But at this time, it's more like mankind is kind of fucked no matter what they do, because you've got the four guardian monsters kind of at war with each other, while at the same time you have all these alien races chasing after the Virus, who are like who have brought all this evil with them, and we're all kind of just caught in the middle of it. So that's what I would like to have, is the human element very much like they feel kind of helpless, even with Gamera, who may turn on them. They're kind of like, well, what can we do? All these monsters except Gamera are against us, and even then, Gamera doesn't seem to give a shit about people unless they're little kids. Throughout this series, I would like to have a lot of the characters from the Heisei series, because I feel like those were the best developed. I would definitely have Asagi back, and Asagi would be, kind of like as she was in the original Heisei series, of being like Gamera's, that having that connection with Gamera. I would absolutely have that, of making her kind of like, she's kind of like the priestess of she becomes the priestess of Gamera, kind of in that kind of sense. But among all other things, that's a few things I would like to play with in this series. Kind of make it a lot like Rulers of the Earth, mixing the Showa and Heisei series together, and even bring in Zetus. I would try to find a way to bring in Zetus from Gamera the Brave, even though that movie's not too good. I know some people out there like Gamera the Brave. I am not one of those people. If anyone out there likes Gamera the Brave, that's totally fine. I don't know. I just don't care for it. And I also try to find a way to bring in Guion. Guion, the giant knife-headed monster. I would try to find. I don't really know how I would bring Guion and Zetus in, but those are the only two really. I can't really think of a way to bring in. So yes, that's what I would really do. Really play with the origin of mixing in the science with the mysticism of having Jiger and Barugun as connected to Gamera and Gauss. Have them also connected to Gamera and Gauss in a way. But yeah, that's just a few things I would like to do. I've been kind of on a Gamera kick since Zazubar's Gamera Palooza, and I've been rewatching my Gamera Legacy collection, and I've just been like, man, I would really love to play with the Gamera universe. The problem is it's not like with Toho where they have a lot of monsters at your disposal. It's more very self-contained, very few kaiju at your disposal, so it'd be like a lot less kaiju, but I'm pretty sure you could play around with the origin a bit more. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about this. So I really want to know, guys, what would you guys do with a Gamera comic book? And also, what do you guys think of these ideas? Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? I really want to know. And what would you guys do if you guys were given a Gamera comic book? So yeah, really curious to know what you guys have to say on all this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.